So Avik, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
Really appreciate coming all the way from Mumbai to Alma Mater. How does it feel?
Yeah, I think I came to campus after 2010. So a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed with the infrastructural development here. It's good to be back in college after a long time.
Nice, great to have you. So you're currently commercial lead in Kellogg's for a lot of countries. Tell us more about your role.
It's an interesting role. It's a new role where the whole idea is how do we have consistency across different markets like Egypt, Turkey, Middle East and South Africa from a master brand perspective, from an brand equity standpoint, from an innovation standpoint. Use some of the best practices from other markets, deploy them rather than reinventing the wheel from scratch.
Nice.
And obviously share information, knowledge with each other.
How many countries have you been to?
So I've lived in Dubai and I lived in South Africa. Apart from that, because of work, I've been to Bangladesh, Nepal, Maldives, also for work.
Maldives for work. You're one of the few people I've met.
Yeah, Maldives for work
Yeah.
and Sri Lanka.
Right.
And from a family standpoint, we have traveled across a lot of countries between Europe and Asia and Africa. So it has been quite an enriching experience so far.
So how was your path to Kellogg? So I know you worked at ITC.
Yes.
Tell us about your first job from campus.
So that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I still remember 2008, around September, October, Lehman Brothers crashed and we were heading into final placement. And that was the whole global crisis that started hitting us. Somehow, through Naukri.com, I got Parle Agro. And I think I was the only one out of 120 marketing students who got a job directly in marketing. And I was part of the Fruity brand team. So, which was quite interesting and iconic because it's a brilliant brand since 1985. And to start your career with an iconic brand was something that I always dreamt of.
That I'm sure helped you a great deal.
Yes, it's definitely helped me. For me, it was more in terms of the profile, the company, the kind of work that I will do. How can I dirty my hands in my initial years of my career rather than looking for a 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 20 lakh package. During our times, anything between 7 to 10 used to be like a superb package.
So after Parle Agro, you moved?
I moved to Emami,
Emami,
which was in Calcutta, in the head office. From a Fruity, which is again a very modern youth-centric brand, I started working in Navratna Oil, which was a very rural UP Bihar-led brand.
Right.
And the experience there was again very different. I still remember traveling in rural Uttar Pradesh on the back of buses and tempos and autos and all. That again gave me a very different perspective in terms of how what consumer brands can actually do.
No, absolutely. I think that would have been an amazing experience. Great. So I think then you moved to ITC thereafter?
Then I moved to ITC.
Yeah.
And I think ITC is an outstanding organization. I learned a lot in terms of trade, category, trade marketing, sales, distribution and ITC. I think we all know what ITC is in India. It's huge. Their power and backbone is the entire trade marketing and distribution division.
Right.
So being part of ITC, part of the personal care division, gave me a lot of, I would say, exposure in terms of the tricks of the trade, how things are, what happens in a wholesaler, what happens with a distributor. And I still remember traveling to Shillong to a distributor's office who was the 4th generation distributor and taking care of ITC. He showed me the first cigarette pack that ITC launched almost 100 years back. He has still kept it in the office. I think those were some of the experiences that really helped me evolve as a human being, as a professional, and also gave me a perspective in terms of what consumer brands can do across different markets.
From your perspective, when you get a certain kind of exposure, when you catch up with a lot of other people, but at the same time, you get the access to a lot of sports infrastructure. And you mentioned that you were part of Chakravyuh as well, and you used to participate. How important is that?
I think for me, I've always been a sports person ever since I was a kid. In the 90s, unlike any other kid, I was more into football than cricket. I was also a short distance athlete in my school. For me, sports is very, very important for any person's development. It gives you a perspective in terms of teamwork, in terms of strength, in terms of tenacity, courage. But the most important thing that sports give you is when you lose, you know how to come back.
Right.
And that for me is the most important learning, because be it in college, in school, or in corporate, life will never be straight. It'll always have a topsy-turvy sine curve.
Yeah.
So whenever you lose, you need to come back. And that for me is the crux of sports.
So is that something which is another message, let's say, to the the graduates who recently moved on from the business schools, or the ones who are currently studying? What's the message there?
Yeah, I think they should look forward in terms of what will help them develop and remove the fear. Now, as a person, I had a massive stage fear during my school days.
Right.
I never participated in debates or elocution and stuff like that. When I moved to college in Delhi University, I was part of the Dramatic Society. In spite of being a sports person, I chose dramatics because I realized that will help me open up to some extent.
Right.
Because we just have 3-4 years in graduation and 2 years in MBA to correct whatever we want to before we enter corporate.
Sure.
So I think students should take this opportunity to remove their fear of whatever they are not good at, use this opportunity to improve on that, so that when they are in corporate, it's going to help them massively.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. The other aspect, which maybe you did mention to me earlier, is connecting with people, right? In all let's say contexts, and I think that's kind of put you in good stead.
Yeah.
Right. Tell us more about the importance.
I think when I joined IMT, for me, there were two fundamental things which I kept in mind. One, how can I expose myself in different sports, which I did. We started with football in the evening. Post sunset, we shifted to the volleyball court. Post dinner, we shifted to the basketball court, and after that, badminton. So most of the time I was on the football field, and there were times when I was doing the other sports.
Right.
For me, that becomes very critical. The second thing that I had in mind when I joined IMT was how can I start connecting with people? Because as a fresher, this is the platform that I'm getting before I get into corporate. And each and every individual is in a cocoon when they are at home or they are in a graduate college. So I wanted to open up. Every individual is different and they come with a certain perspective. So when you start interacting with them, you understand and you learn. That gives you the confidence for your group discussions, your interviews, and as in your corporate life.
Coming back to connecting with people, I think you were in the Alcom.
Yeah.
Right? You said in the second year.
Yeah.
And how did that help you, let's say, in your transformation process?
I think Alcom gave me a flavor of how life will be in corporate. Right? While as a fresher, I had no idea how to talk to someone who is working in an office.
Right.
I have never been to office. I have no idea. I can't visualize office. My dad was a businessman, so he was not a corporate guy. So I had no idea of an office. So Alcom gave me the platform to connect to alumni, talk to them, understand, and then also give me that confidence to talk to a corporate guy in the future.
Right.
That for me was very, very important. I never pitched for any jobs to the alumni network. I don't think that is what we are here for. I ensured that as an Alcom member, I'm a bridge between the campus and the alumni.
Okay.
And that for me was the most important thing. And surprisingly, the alumni that I had connected in 2008-9, I'm still in touch with them, most of them. We never had LinkedIn or nothing, but I'm still in touch with them right now.
Very nice. So the other point that you were also mentioning earlier was this whole relevance or your ability to identify with people across the spectrum, let's say in terms of CGPA, right, at different stages of how they've engaged with their MBA program or a PGDM program. And somewhere you mentioned that it doesn't really matter whether you're a 6 CGPA or a 6.5 or a 9.5. Every one of them has the ability to reach where they would like to reach.
Correct.
So tell us more about it.
I think it's important to understand I'm not saying we know what we're capable of. We have an aspiration. We want to achieve that.
Right.
As a student, it's important for us to understand what will help us in order to achieve that. Right? If I'm not good at public speaking, how can an alumni help me with that? If I'm not clear in terms of a particular stream in finance. How can someone help me with that?
Right.
That will give me more motivation and confidence as I move ahead than the CGPA. Yes, CGPA, unfortunately in India, because of the population, etc., the CGPA will always be there as a cutoff.
You'll be managing a large operation, you'll be commercial lead, based out of India for so many different countries. You intend to essentially operate from India and look at other countries elsewhere to get the best of both worlds, or anything is possible?
Anything is possible. I think there are a lot of, I would say, surprises in life as we move ahead. I take it one day at a time. I've been in a couple of countries. I've stayed there. I've understand the culture. South Africa is very different from an India, very different from a Sri Lanka, very different from a Middle East or a Saudi, for that matter. For me, all these experiences have helped me evolve as a human being, and that's exactly what I'm looking for as I move ahead. Wherever it is, whatever it is, I'll just take it and go for it.
Great, thank you so much. I think this is, what you just mentioned is absolutely what, when we talk about impact, or when we talk about, how do we kind of want to spread our wings, how do we want to have career transitions and transformations. It's been wonderful speaking to you.
Thank you.
We are so happy, IMT Ghaziabad is so happy that we were able to be a part of your journey, and we still are. This particular umbilical cord, in a way,
Yes.
cannot possibly be cut. Really look forward to your session in the evening, and really look forward to further connections with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Such
you.
a pleasure. Thank you.